Hi, and welcome to the Crit Hit Wild podcast, where we cover all things Marvel Crisis Protocol, and we do a new character every week. This week, we're going to be talking about Kingpin, and I'm your host, Fred.
I'm Brad.
I'm Brandon.
And I'm Steven.
Hello, guys. How is everyone doing today? Are you all as exhausted as I am?
Yes.
Yeah. It was so. For some context to the listeners, we yesterday spent the entire day at a brewery, playing MCP, and then drove back the same day. And then on top of that, it is the daylight saving time change just occurred, so we all lost an hour or two. I'm beat. But we have a lot to talk about today. So let's begin. Let's start by talking about a couple pictures that we saw. Hey, Brad, do you know where these pictures are from?
They're
Do you
from
know what the event was?
Yeah, it's Gamma. It is a meeting between retailers and publishing companies for games, and it happens in Las Vegas every year.
Okay. I'd never heard of it before I saw these, so that's why I was asking. But a couple of these pictures we've seen before, but there are a few that have very new information. So this first one is, I'm pretty sure that I've seen this before. It's the kit that has Mighty Thor, Lady Sif, Loki, Prince of Lies, and the Thor, Hero of Midgard. And I did those out of order for some reason.
Fred, I like the confidence
Yep.
of you saying that this is the first one and not being able to see my screen.
Oh, was that not the first one?
It is. It is. You nailed it.
Hey, you know what? Discord has them all in a little line here, so I can see where they are in the line of photos. So I'm hoping you're using a similar thing. Or why don't
We'll
you say
see.
what the next one is?
We'll see.
Why
Well,
don't
don't we
you
No,
want
you
to?
have to. Yeah, you have to keep guessing
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Uh,
Okay. Well, the next.
No. What?
The next
Do we
picture-
not want to talk about this?
Oh yeah. Okay. Let's talk about it.
I think it's. I don't know if we lost Fred. I think it's crazy that we're just now getting Lady Sif, who was in the MCU. Like,
I feel like this pack should have been like the first set of Asgardians we got.
yeah.
Like, doesn't it just feel like it would have made more sense if this would have just been like the first 4 Asgardians we got?
Yeah.
Oh well.
Glad we're getting them.
Yeah.
Still no Warriors 3.
No.
The some really cool stuff here that Fred's died out on us.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Let's just go on to the next box without him while he figures himself out.
Okay.
The next box we saw was Black Panther Chosen of Bast and Namor the Submariner. I think
I haven't been this excited since on a release in such a long time.
just for Submariner, right? You don't care about
Yeah,
the Black
just-
Panther
yeah.
at all.
I don't care that Black Panther's in it at all. I mean, it's a cool model, but it also looks like it's on a bigger base too.
Yeah, well, there's a whole cat on there.
Yeah. So either that model's those are both like super enlarged, or like it's gonna be a Black Panther on a medium, probably a medium base, not a large base.
We'll see.
But
With
it also looks like Namor might be on a medium base.
he does have a lot of stuff going on. Namor, probably an X-Man, so I'm also excited about this box.
Well, but
It's
is it
definitely
is it
possible.
signaling something else for the future?
Are you talking
possibly?
about Invaders?
No, I'm talking about Fantastic Four.
Oh, he is a Fantastic Four character, yes. So we got to get Fantastic Four at some point.
I bet he's in the Inhumans faction too.
Why?
He's Atlantis has had dealings with the Inhumans.
I don't know about
Fine
that
with him.
one.
The only affiliation he should be and needs to be is the Defenders. Like I might riot if he's not a Defender.
Oh no!
I would
Just like
laugh.
Punisher.
He is a
There's
Defender.
no reason. Like that's the main affiliation he should be a part of.
I wonder if you have to design your boards now to have like a little pool of water, and he'll get extra 2 dice to his attacks.
I don't think they're gonna do that. I don't think they're gonna do that.
But it makes sense, right? Because that's what the old comics were. He got stronger when he was in or around water.
A new terrain feature: water.
Wait! We've got the Warrior Falls, right?
Yeah, there's also the Wakandan fountains. One of the boxes has fountains. Okay, Fred, what's the next box?
Okay, sorry about that, everyone. I had some connection issues, and I dropped the call, which sucks. But my next one, the next one is Shang-Chi and Silver Sable.
Ooh, good one. Yeah, that was right. Yeah, you did it.
Okay, good.
Is Brandon going to be mad if Shang-Chi is not a Defender?
I don't know how Shang-Chi is not a Defender also. He has to be, right? He's in that tier of hero, right?
I don't know that he's ever actually been affiliated with the Defenders.
He has been affiliated with Heroes for Hire.
Yeah, but that's not the same thing.
I'm not sure there's many other affiliations he falls in. I'd be fine with him coming in to the Defenders like Convocation mix, but Namor I'd be more upset about. Way more upset about.
I see. I don't know where Silver Sable would go.
I was gonna say that from what you've said in the past, that she seems kind of like in that criminal syndicate area.
I think she might have her own leadership coming.
She could. I don't think
Would it be criminal syndicate leadership or something brand new?
She might be a Defender leader, and I say that trepidatiously. But I mean, in her comic, she was the leader of a mercenary pack, and she would hire supers, because when they would take contracts to take on other superheroes, like Sandman was like her number one hire, and he stayed with her because her wild pack ran into Venom one time and they couldn't handle it because they're just a bunch of very highly skilled humans, right? So Sandman had to fight Venom, which was obviously a standstill with those two, but. No, but she's had people like Deathlock and Paladin, Finn, just people that she would hire out to enhance her team so that they wouldn't get slaughtered wholesale.
The listeners need to know that we have on this podcast one of Silver Sable's biggest fans.
Sorry.
I was gonna say this is your girl. This is your girl here.
Oh, if we ever get a Paladin, I'm all in. Trust me. Not that I'm not all in already, but if we get a Paladin, I'm all in.
Paladin.
I don't even know who that is.
Paladin is exactly the type of character they would love to make for the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know anything about Silver Sable.
Yeah. Fred? Paladin
is she the country that's right next door to Doctor Doom's country or something like that?
Yes.
And they are on friendly terms.
Yeah, so that I knew that because she's come up a couple times.
Well, yeah,
on the podcast.
I think she came up in the Nightcrawler episode because that's her most recent boyfriend.
Right.
That's
exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So, but I don't know where she would fit, but I have a feeling she might be a leader.
Yeah. I would
I'd
think.
almost bet on that.
I think they'll do Criminal Syndicate because they made AIM Criminal Syndicate. So.
Yeah, but she doesn't lean over to the criminal side that much. She's more neutral party.
A criminal syndicate is a big tent.
It is.
Like, she's a mercenary, and mercenary screams criminal syndicate.
They also did Emma Frost, and I really feel like Silver Sable would have, like, that a card and taking anyone you want.
Oh, yeah.
That should have been her instead of Emma Frost. So she might have. See that. So she might have something like that.
That's cool. That's cool.
Okay, Fred, what's next?
All right. The next one is a picture of the upcoming spider foes. We've seen these before. I don't think we've seen them in full color though. Have we?
Yeah, we've
fully
seen
painted.
Them painted.
Oh,
we've
seen
them
okay.
painted.
Yeah, they look great.
We can also tell in this picture that they're all medium bases.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're all clearly medium bases, including Shocker, which
is a shocker.
Yeah, I know. He does not need to be, and he definitely is.
Well, Fred, can you guess what 2 characters are going to automatically go on my list of 10 after these releases?
After these, is it Silver Sable and Sandman?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. I picked that up on context.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I mean, all these look great. I'm excited to find out more about them. Brad, you said, I think we've heard that May is when they go on pre-order, or they.
Yeah. I think it was May because these other ones are July.
Yeah. So, I'm holding out hope we get the information about them real soon.
We should.
Adepticon.
Yep. Looking at you, Adepticon.
When is Adepticon?
20th through the 24th of this month.
Okay. Yeah, we may not hear anything till Adepticon then. All right.
Yeah.
What's our last thing?
Our last picture we have also seen before. This is a symbiote of some sort and a red, like a Spider-Man wearing a red tracksuit.
Oh my god. Okay. Fred,
who are these people?
That's Gwynnum.
That's okay. Okay, so it's not nuts that I don't know who these people are. Okay.
That's Gwynnum. That's
one of them is named Gwynnum.
It's Spider-Gwen with the Venom symbiote.
Yeah, I figured that out, but it's not like that's a thing I
and
know.
The other one, Fred, is Ben Reilly, the Scarlet Spider-Man.
Oh my god, how are you mad that I didn't know that?
Everyone knows Ben Reilly.
Literally nobody knows who that is.
You saw a movie with Ben Reilly in it, Fred.
Oh, have I? Which movie?
The second Spider-Verse movie.
Spider-Verse?
Yeah,
Across the Spider-Verse.
He was played by Andy Samberg.
Okay.
And is like real moody and emo.
Yeah. Okay.
And he's a clone of Peter Parker. And for a while, he thought he was the real one, and Peter thought he was the clone. Peter Parker thought he was a clone, but it turned out it's the other way around.
Yeah, my takeaway is now I'm thinking about Across the Spider-Verse and how good of a movie it was and how much I want to see the next one. I tuned out entirely about what we're actually talking about, which are these 2 models, which we've seen before, but that look awesome.
Yeah, I mean, 2 more Web Warriors, everybody's gonna love them.
Yeah. Do you have talked before about the possibility of there being a symbiotes faction?
Yes.
Do you think that this makes that more likely?
Yes.
Yeah.
But when we get the symbiote affiliation box and it has like toxic and rage and
Phage and Scream and Anti-Venom.
Wow. Maybe Anti-Venom. Anyway, when it has like 4 symbiotes that most people have never heard of, that's when we get the actual affiliation.
Right. Okay. Well, those are the 5 pictures that we saw coming out of Gamma. I'm excited.
I have a 6th picture, but it's for later.
Oh, okay. I don't even know what you're talking about.
I know.
I have no idea.
It's a surprise for everybody.
Oh boy. All right. Well, let's move on to the tournaments that are coming up. So, coming up later this month on the 24th, on Sunday the 24th of March, there is a tournament at Dragon's Lair in Erie, Pennsylvania. So if you're in northern Pennsylvania, head on out there. I'm sure that they will be a fun group to play with. Were any of them at the tournament that we just went to?
No. I didn't see anybody from there that I recognized.
Okay. They come down to the Pittsburgh tournament every once in a while. I know that.
And I almost knew everybody there. So
speaking of the Pittsburgh tournament, on Saturday the 30th of March, there is one at Fabricators Forge. There's a tournament at Fabricators Forge. So if you're in the Pittsburgh area, head on out there. They are a great group to game with. Coming up in April, on April the 13th, there is going to be a tournament at Lost Legion Games and Comics in South Charleston. That is not our normal weekend. We usually do it on the 3rd Saturday, but because of scheduling reasons, we had to change it to the 2nd Saturday of April. So if you are interested in coming and playing with us, with the group from Charleston, I should say, come on down on April 13th. And then there is one more on April the 27th. There is a tournament at Recess Games in North Olmsted. That's near Cleveland. That's your shop there, Stephen.
Yes, it is. That's correct.
Yeah. So if you're in the Cleveland area, head on over to North Olmsted and play some games. So those are the tournaments that I know of currently. I'm sure there are more, but I don't know where they are or when they are. So let's talk now about the tournament that we just did at Missing Falls Brewery in Akron, Ohio. So we played in a tournament. There were 24 people there. It was a pretty big turnout. It's not a bad showing. And it went 4 rounds. I don't want to. Let's not spoil things. Let's talk this through.
Well, Fred, if I can interrupt, you said it was in Akron, Ohio, correct?
Yes. Is that wrong? Was I? We were in Akron.
No. Yeah, and this is the first inaugural one, by the way. So 24 showing is very good.
Yes. Yeah. It's in a good spot. Like Akron is like in the easier driving range of Pittsburgh, Charleston, Cleveland. Like it's in an area that's reachable.
Columbus too, because we had a bunch of Columbus guys.
So it's in a good spot. Like Akron's pretty reachable. And it was a good space. Like I like that space. They had food for us, and the food was a lot better than it needed to be.
Yeah, I guess we can talk about the venue a little bit. So
yeah, let's talk them up. So it's at the Missing Falls Brewery. They provided us with a drink token, and they gave us access to a lunch buffet that had wings and pulled pork and some pizza, and it was good. It was a good lunch buffet.
I was all about the $5 drink all the soda you can deal.
Yeah, that was helpful. It was real nice to just be able to walk up to the bar and show them your wristband, and you get a drink. You don't have to deal with paying for it every time.
So what did you, Brandon? What did you guys think about the venue itself?
I thought it was pretty great. Like, there was plenty of room, despite there being four different games being played.
Mm-hmm.
And MCP was the biggest group. So, like, if they just switched to MCP, they could easily hold 64 plus people there. Like,
oh yeah, definitely.
It was like they had plenty of room. Price support was good.
Yeah, shout out to JAC Games who sponsored it, right? So,
yeah, and it ran pretty smooth too.
Yeah, Drew runs good tournaments. I've been to one of his before, and they're pretty spot on, and they usually finish in a good amount of time, but you never feel rushed. So, Brandon, what was your impression of the venue?
I enjoyed it. I didn't have any. I very much enjoyed the food. Was sorry, Jesus, sorry. Yeah, I thought the venue was really nice. I had a really good time. I thought it was. I couldn't. There's not much more I would expect or want out of an event or anything.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure that we're all on board that if it happens again, we're all going, right? So.
Yes.
Yeah, I will go again.
I also, and if there were any issues, I noticed a couple times there were like some players kind of nitpicking and stuff, and the TOs did a good job of actively trying to like fix those complaints, as they were going, which was nice to see, instead of like sometimes you go to big places they're just kind of like gonna do whatever they want. So it was nice to see that they like genuinely cared what like the players wanted and what the players thought. Like they were very receptive to everything going on.
Yeah, that'll come up in the last game that you and I actually played a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. Sorry, Fred. I didn't mean to take your thunder.
No, you're good. Yeah, that was a good. We want to talk up how good this experience was, because it was like if it happens again, I should say when it happens again, people should come. It's fun. It was definitely worth the drive.
Yeah, they gave space for 32 players, and we only had 24. So there's, even if they do not grow it at all, the MCP section, there's room for more people to come. Please come.
Yeah, please come. All right, so let's talk about the games that we played. My first game was against a person that many in this podcast will know by his voice, and that is Steven. I was paired against Steven round one, which is fine. I like playing against you, Steven. It's just I've played against you a bunch, and I like playing against new people too. But this game did not go well for me. is where I'm going with this.
Well,
I was playing. Oh,
I would counter it did go well for you until the last turn, Fred.
Yeah, that's true. That I was playing Spider Foes, but I was actually playing under MODOK Scientist Supreme's leadership, so I was playing Criminal Syndicate. And I will say this: I was going into round 3. I had 9 victory points, and Steven had 8. Steven was playing Web Warriors with Elektra and Black Panther. Yeah, and Black Panther is unkillable under Web Warriors. He is just a menace. So, but that's an aside. going into round 3, I had 9 victory points and Steven had 8. At the end of round 3, Steven had 16 and I had 10. This round, nothing went my way. We were playing Spider Infected and Mutant Madmen, and Steven managed to flip every Mutant Madman point and collect 4 out of the 5 of the Spider Infecteds.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
It was a bad turn for me. At one point, in order for everything to happen the way he wanted it to, he needed to do 1 damage to MODOK with an Ancient Throwing Knives dagger, which MODOK counts blanks against mystic attacks. And he rolled super high and got 5 hits while I only had 4 blocks on my die roll. So he did me 1 damage, teleported Electra right next to MODOK, and then impaled him and took him off the table. Like, immediately wiped him out. And then it went downhill from there for the rest of this turn. I got just crushed. So this game, I lost. I'm going into the losers bracket after round 1.
Yeah. Electra was the little star of the game, I guess.
Yeah, she did very well. This was a good showing from Electra. Okay, Brad, do you want to talk about your first round?
Sure. I played a guy named Tyler. He was also playing X-Force, but his roster was all members of X-Force. And we played Legacy Virus Infinity Formula at 19 Threat. I guess I have a paper here that tells me what I played. I played Cable, Psylocke, Bishop, Hulk. That's a pretty good 19. He played some stuff. I don't remember. Cable. I think X-23 and Wolverine. Domino. Well, maybe not X-23. Anyway, Infinity Formula, we split into 2 sides. At one point, he had done damage to Hulk over time, and Hulk had 8 health left, and he went with Wolverine and did 7 of it, almost killing him. And the only other model he had on that side was Domino, so I activated Hulk and killed Domino, and then I was fine. But it was scary for a moment, because if he got Hulk, the game much harder to win at that point. Yeah. It was pretty back and forth. Second round, he dazed Bishop and Cable. And I think he ended up dazing Psylocke at some point too. So he was putting a hurting on me. But I managed to pull out a win, 19-9. And I got to 19 because I scored all the points 2 rounds in a row. Because I was behind him before that, and he was winning on attrition before that. So that's it.
Okay. I played against Tyler later, and I'll go over that when I get there. But I liked playing against him. He was a good guy. Okay, Brandon, do you want to talk about your first round?
Round 1, I played against Brian. Brian's from the Pittsburgh Meta. We played Super Powered Scoundrels, and what was the other? I don't remember the extract. Oh, Deadly Legacy Virus. I don't have my quote-unquote cheat sheet on me because this is the only one that I apparently am not remembering for some reason. We played 20 Threat. I played Kingpin, Shadowland Daredevil, Rhino, Black Cat, Lizard, Bullseye. So I was 7 wide.
Ugh.
It was a great time. It was a great time. Counting the ninjas, I was 7 wide. I had priority in this game. So I was able to take 2 deadly legacy viruses on the first activation. And then I scored all 5 superpowered scoundrels on the first turn. So I think it was 7-1. And then the second turn, I didn't score all of them. He started moving stuff around. He was playing Midnight Suns. He was playing Blade, Voodoo. No, he didn't play Iron Fist. Who else did he play? Played Blade and Voodoo for sure. He didn't play Immortal Hulk, which we talked about later. Was probably unfortunately incorrect for him. He played Blade, Voodoo, Ghost Rider, Black Cat. I know. Is that math? 4, 8, 12, 17, 20. Yeah. So it was 5 characters to 7. Scored most of the points. He realized about halfway through turn 1. He had forgotten what Kingpin's leadership did. So halfway through turn 1, he realized, and by that point, the game was probably pretty well over. So it was 7-1, and then I think I scored 4 and then 5. I think the game finished 16-3 after round 3.
Okay.
So.
That was a rough opener for him.
Yeah, he probably didn't have a great. Yeah, I definitely didn't start his event off to a great thing. No one plays Criminal Syndicate up in Pittsburgh because we had talked about it. Like, so he was really unaware of like he knew what like the main models did, but like he had never really played against Shadowland Daredevil. He was really unfamiliar with Kingpin.
Yeah, and if you don't know what you're up against when Kingpin hits the table, it's gonna be a rough game for you.
Yeah, Kingpin and Shadowland Daredevil are such linchpins on my list that it's if you don't know what they do and what they're doing, it's gonna be it's rough.
Yeah. And then you got superpowered scoundrels as well. So
yeah, I won the die roll. We got my secures. We played scoundrels, and he had Deadly Legacy. So I have a plan for Deadly Legacy. So I was able to just kind of keep one. Like I was able to like keep the viruses and kind of pass them around. Yeah, it just wasn't a good time for Brian. But Brian's an awesome guy. I think he's still relatively. He's not like super new, but I don't know what much he gets to play, and he's getting there. So it was good to play him and good to talk to him and everything. We definitely talked about like what things to do differently. So I'm sure next time he'll have a different game plan and actually be a little bit more aware.
Okay, well that's good. Let's move on to round 2. My opponent in round 2 was a gentleman named Matt Dekal. We were playing on Demons Downtown and Paranoia. We were playing at 19 points. He was playing. Oh, gosh, I forget exactly who his leader was. But this was a game that went thoroughly in my favor. On Demons Downtown, I'm playing Doc Ock and Doc Ock's leadership. And Doc Ock he's not going to, I do remember who his leader was. It was Red Skull 1. And he was playing a super attrition heavy list. And when I saw that, I knew exactly how I was going to play and how I was going to win. And it was by winning on scenario round 3. Because I can soak. I'm pretty good at soaking damage and throwing characters out of engagement. So I was just playing the control game, and I ended up scoring. I believe I scored 18 victory points, and he scored 5. So at the bottom of 3, it was. I was pretty sure I had it sewn up by round 3. This was exactly where Spider Foes want to be. They want to be in a game where the opponent is playing attrition and nothing has no plan for a control faction. That was I enjoyed playing against Matt. He was a nice guy, and yeah, I liked this game. This was my first win of the night. All right, that was my round 1. That was my round 2, I should say. Steven.
Yes.
Who was your round 2?
I played a gentleman named Brian. He goes by Commander Cake. And we were playing on Mutant Madman and Senators at 19 points. He was taking Spider Foes. He had Green Goblin, the original Dr. Octopus, the 3-point version, Rhino, Juggernaut, and Lizard. I countered with Miles, Elektra. My Black Panther became Amazing Spider-Man, Moon Knight, and Spider-Woman. And I ended up winning this game 16-14. I made some mistakes, like running Amazing Spider-Man into Green Goblin. That kind of hurt.
Did he survive, or did he get picked up off the table?
No, he survived, but after he got injured, I'm like, nope, not happening again. So
yeah.
The good thing is that I could do the little switcheroo pretty quickly. But funny thing happened. I was down 9-11 in round 2, and I won in round 3, 16-14.
Boy, so that seems to be happening to you a lot. When you're pulling out a round 3 victory from the jaws of defeat.
Well, I have both my Moon Knight and Elektra. They were taking on Rhino and Juggernaut, and they were beating them up like they were the little knock 'em downs you have at carnivals, throwing baseballs.
Okay.
Yeah, they were taking it to them pretty good. So
that is impressive. That's impressive.
And then Miles was taking on Doc Ock and Lizard by himself pretty well too. So it was like one of those, oh my goodness, my little people are doing great. It's my Spider-Woman and Spider-Man are having a little bit of trouble here. But no, Brian's a great guy. He had a tactical error, which probably sealed the game for me. He got a little bit of bloodlust in his eyes, and he was going after people who he probably shouldn't have gone after, because Moon Knight came in and put down his Rhino, and then he was going after Moon Knight quite hard. And of course I was like, oh sure, we'll sacrifice until Elektra, thank you. So it was kind of one of those.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've been there. I've been in his position before, where you just get the bloodlust and you want to put some people down.
Right. Well, the great thing about Web Warriors is that you really do have to play the scenario game. You can't play an attrition game. So that kind of left my body, and I was fine with it.
Right.
So
yeah. All right.
Brian comes up from Columbus with the Columbus crew. So.
Okay.
All
right, Brad. What's your round 2 look like?
I played Brandon. I was not happy. Yeah. So I needed to win the roll. I did that. And then Brandon needed to draw out my pay to flip, which he did, for me to have a chance to win this game. And I was so excited that happened that I cheered. And then Brandon beat me real bad with Shadowland Daredevil. We ended up playing
with Shadowland Daredevil's leadership, right?
Yeah. Paranoia, Deadly Meteors. What did I play? I played Cable, Psylocke, Bishop, Colossus. Brandon, what did you play?
Shadowland, Daredevil, Hulk, Rhino, Crossbones.
Yeah.
Oof.
Every time I would flip the meteors, Brandon would just flip them back. And I got like no points. Brandon won 16-8.
This game, I took the strategy. I had the affiliations. I was able to play a little bit of it. I can't out attrition X-Force regardless of like what I do. So my game plan was really just to take models that could stay alive, and then use the ones that I had to throw models off of points. So then I basically used Hulk to push and throw models off of points, so I could then just flip the points back to me.
For listener clarification, Brandon was running Crossbones Merciless Merc, by the way.
Yeah.
The second version.
The good version.
While that was an important clarification, I also forward that it isn't, because there is no way in heck that anyone is running the first Crossbones at any competitive event.
Well, you never know. Some people are crazy.
Sin players.
Yeah, you're right.
Maybe you're just playing the core box Cabal team.
So I lost to Brandon.
It sucks when, it sucks when you go to a new location and then you play people that you play every week.
Sure does.
Yeah.
We played 3 rounds. It was 5-4 after 1. And then I think I scored 7-7.
Yeah.
Or 7-6 maybe.
And he has a Hulk on his team, and you didn't bring a Hulk, Brad.
I think it was 6 and 7.
6 and 7.
I did not. The math did not work to bring a Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Fun fact, in this event, I played at 17 threat 3 rounds in a row and took a different 17 all 3 times.
All right, well, we know what Brandon's game was. Next round.
All right, round 3. I played against Tyler. That's the same Tyler that Brad played round 1. He was playing his X-Force, and we played on Mayor Fisk and Spider Infected. And we were playing at 16 points. Now, with my list, 16 points is where I am probably the weakest. What I probably should have done in this match is take a leader, either Doc Ock or Green Goblin, Hulk, and then 2 3s, Lizard and Kraven the Hunter, probably. What I did instead was take all 4 of my 4s, which are Green Goblin, Doc Ock, MODOK, and Rhino. And that grouping, it's not great, if I'm to be perfectly honest. I don't think what I should have done is I should have been under MODOK's leadership, but for some reason I was under Doc Ock's leadership, and it didn't help me as much. I think this game I was basically caught in an attrition fight in the middle, and I couldn't pull out a win by scenario, and he out attritioned me with his X-Force. He was playing Cable, Bishop, Deadpool, and Wolverine, which is like an attrition powerhouse. Can I just say, Deadpool was the absolute star of this game, and that is an insane statement.
It's not. No, it's not.
Deadpool was so good in this game. It was disgusting. Like he kept getting the dance. I flipped him very early, and then I could not finish him off. He kept getting his dance party attack off and then moving through my guys and doing extra damage. And it was so much more damage than I was expecting. Like that extra damage piled up. And then like I was focusing my attacks on Cable and Bishop. And there was one round where Green Goblin KO'd Cable and then KO'd Bishop. Like it was an incredible Green Goblin turn. And then Deadpool KO'd Green Goblin and KO'd Doc Ock in the following activation. And I was just like, I have one model on the field now, and he has Wolverine and Deadpool, the two most self-healing models in the game. Yeah, I basically just got out attritioned in this fight. I got 11 victory points to his 18, and learned that I need to come up with a better game plan at 16 points. All right, well, that was my third round. How was yours, Steven?
Oh, it was fine. I played against Tom Mittner. I had actually played him before in a tournament in Dayton. He is from Columbus. Probably one of the nicest guys you ever want to meet. He is very experienced. In the Dayton tournament, he proceeded to show me how he plays Criminal Syndicate against my Midnight Suns, and I lost that game. So I guess it was a little bit of a rematch. I had one priority, and amazingly enough, he had the same secures as I did, so I picked my extracts. Because I wasn't worried about, obviously it's a random pick, but they're the same three that I chose. So we had Cosmic Invasion and Spider Infected. We played at 16. He was playing Mystique Brotherhood, so he promptly took Mystique, Toad, Juggernaut, and Hulk. I countered with Miles, Amazing Spider-Man, Elektra, and Spider-Woman. And this was a game of games. So after the first round, I was down 5-3. On the second round, I evened it up at 8-8. We stayed even on round 3 at 11-11. I went up in round 4, 14-13, and then in the fifth round, I ended up winning 16-15.
Oh man! Oh, that's close.
Yeah, it was a very tactical battle. If you were watching us during the game, I would do an activation with one of my characters, right, and then it'd go over to Tom, and he would just put his hand on his chin, and he would think for like 2-3 minutes about what to do. He goes, I don't like what happened. Cosmic Invasion and Spider Infected played a huge part in this because, they have the pushes, obviously. I went after his soft parts, which were Mystique, which I took out with Elektra with her Mystic attacks, surprisingly. And then Spider-Man got in the act and attacked her from range 3 with a enhanced strike. That was 7 dice, and she went down. And then I got Toad, so it was only Juggernaut and Hulk, and even Amazing Spider-Man almost got Juggernaut flipped. So, but he took out Elektra because she was causing problems, obviously, and dazed Miles. But I still had Spider-Man and Spider-Woman, feeling quite healthy. So, like I said, it was probably one of the best games of MCP I've ever had, because it was just that back and forth. Because after he get done with an activation, I'd be thinking like, what am I going to do here? So
yeah, it was close that like every single move mattered and everything like was on. It seemed like a game on a razor's edge.
Correct. Yeah. When I went down 5-3, I was worried. Trust me.
Yeah.
Really worried. But anyway, no. Shout out to Tom. He's great. His crew's in Columbus. Andrew's Andrew Savage is down there now, who's from Pittsburgh, and I got him connected with those Columbus guys. So now we got some going back and forth, and hopefully those guys can coalesce together, have a good time, and maybe we'll see some tournaments from Columbus coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, that'd be great. All right, Brad, how was your round 3?
So after I played Brandon, I was excited to get on to the new round and a new opponent. And I got to my table, like I looked up where I was and I went to the table, but I managed not to even read who my opponent was. And then Borka rolls up to the table, and I'm like, "You're not my opponent, are you?" And he's like, "Yes, I am." And sure enough, I play Borka.
Yeah.
We ended up playing. His secures weren't too bad, because I won priority. So he had Gamma, Demons, and I don't remember what his third one was. Do you guys know?
Gamma Demons, something low scoring. I don't know it off the top of my head.
Yeah,
Sword base.
I don't think it was sword base, but like I happened to look at my Longshanks stats like a couple weeks ago, and I had won like 8 out of 9 games on Demons, and I should have just put it in my roster, but I never did.
Yeah, he had Gamma Wave, Sword Base, and Demons. I'm just looking it up right now.
It is Sword Base. Right. And like I don't think X-Force really minds those. Like Gamma's the worst one of the 3. And of course I draw Gamma. And then he drew, this is round 3, so we had Paranoia. We played 15 points, which I wasn't thrilled about. And then I figured out that I could play Cable, Hulk, and a 4-pointer. And I just had to figure out if that was Bishop or Psylocke. And so I picked Psylocke because I correctly guessed that he was going to play First Avenger, new Carol Danvers, and what's that? That's 9. And Hulk. And so I played Psylocke for the stealth, and I was expecting her to go like straight into his forces, so martial artist was going to be very helpful. It didn't play out that way. Hulk grabbed a Paranoia like out in the middle of nowhere. Nobody got the other Paranoia that was out in the middle of nowhere, and Cable and Psylocke just stayed on my home Gamma the first turn. His Hulk was on the middle Gamma and took a point of damage from the Paranoia. And then I made 2 attacks with Cable and did 9 more damage. So on turn 1, Hulk was half dead. So turn 2, I tried.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I got to go first, and I tried to kill him with Cable and fell short. I think he ended up... I don't remember how much he did. But he did some amount of damage. And then Hulk dazed Cable and Psylocke and ruined my whole day. And then Hulk came over he was like clear on the side of the board, but he got to my home Gamma with 2 moves and a Gamma leap, and then just threw Hulk into a piece of terrain to do 1 more damage. And he was still alive. But then I got to go first again, and Cable finished him off. and then I got to move my Hulk to the middle, and Psylocke also moved up to the middle, and then I was finally scoring more points than him, and so now he's on his back foot, and where I started on the back foot, and he had a chance to try to lock in the game by like going ham with Carol on Hulk, and like he didn't even roll average. Like it was abysmal. So he did not do that, and then the game was quickly over after that. But
yeah, how much damage did Cable do to Hulk in that?
Cable did 18,
you say
18 of the 20. Yeah, 18 of the 20.
Holy guacamole.
He took one from Paranoia really, and one really from Hulk. Yeah. Well, I could shoot him within range 3. So I was very consistently getting at least 5 hits, depending on crits. And and so like and
it's energy, which he's only rolling 3 defense
and he was incinerated after the first or second attack. I don't remember which one. And an incinerated Hulk goes down pretty quick, if you can. Psylocke didn't do much. Psylocke didn't do much this game except survive way longer than she should have. Oh, this was the Carol Danvers turn. He threw Hulk into Psylocke. I braced. He threw Hulk into Psylocke. Well, tried to. I indomitabled. And then he got a third throw of Hulk into Psylocke and dazed her. He threw Hulk into Psylocke 3 times. And he had to because I prevented the first 2.
Right. Well, that's Carol Danvers for you, though. Yeah. That she gets 3 throws on her binary form.
She has to have 8 power to do that. But like,
yeah,
I gave her the 8 power by dazing her with Hulk like the turn before. So.
All right.
Well, that's it for my round 3. At this point, I'm 2-1.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Brandon, what was your round 3?
I played Gilberto Rivera.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
One of my guys.
Yeah, he's from that area. And we played 17 Threat. We played Struggle for the Cube and Infinity Formula. I played in this game Bullseye, Kingpin, Shadowland Daredevil, Rhino, Black Cat. Yep. We played on table 1. The table was awkward. It had like built-in divots. It wasn't like a flat surface.
It was a subway. It was a subway station.
Yeah.
It looked really cool.
It looked really cool.
It did look really cool.
It was like set up to be a specific subway station, and like the problem with it is that there are tracks through 2 different parts that go across the entire table, and the tracks are inset. So like there's these big gaps where you have to either dangle your base over or be inside of the tracks, which is kind of awkward for a miniatures game.
It's really unfortunate because there are no set sizes, so you have to kind of play it as a flat surface.
Yeah.
So like pushes can go like up and over, like through. It was really awkward. It only had size 2 and 1 terrain on it. It had 2 immovable pieces of terrain. All in all, it was pretty awkward of a board. He played Hellfire Club. He played Emma, Iron Man, Ultron, Metal Tyrant, Wong, and Lizard. This was a really good game. It was super close. The majority of the battle was on one side of the board, the left side, where I had Shadowland Bullseye Kingpin, and he had everybody besides Emma. And then I had Black Cat Rhino against his Emma on the right side. And there were 4 total points on that side, which I had full control of by the end of the second round. So as long as at that point, as long as I stayed net positive on the left side, I could win the game pretty easily. It was kind of, and he eventually, I kept kind of staggering people and moving people away, pushing and throwing, put him in a really weird spot where his Ultron was only getting 1 action. I had a turn, I had a round, either round 2 or round 3, I played Shadow Organization, which put him in a really tough bind because he had to move to attack anybody, which really slowed down his attrition game plan. But all in all, it was a super close game. It came down. It ended at the end of round 4. I was able to daze his Iron Man with a Mystic Demon Devastation that only needed to do 2 damage, I think. But a Mystic Demon's Devastation on a flipped Shadowland Daredevil. To get 2 more. He had 2 cubes, so I was able to pick up 2 cubes with Shadowland Daredevil. He had 1 attack that he could make with Ultron. That was like one of the only models he had left to activate to try to kill. I think he would have had to do like 6 damage to Shadowland Daredevil counting blanks. It was a tough spot to be in for him. Overall, it was a really close game, but I'd be amiss if I say the table didn't have some infractions. Like placing was really awkward. Having Ultron and not having any relevant terrain to throw. I also would have been in a good spot with like throwable terrain. I picked specific models because there wasn't a ton of throwable terrain. So it was interesting. But all in all, it was a really good game. It was super close. I ended up winning that one 19-13.
Okay, I think that was the thing that was happening on a bunch of tables, is the terrain was suboptimal on a couple of the tables.
That was the most unfortunate part, because we did talk with the TO after. Well, I didn't. Gilberto talked with him. He was more upset than I was about the terrain, which does segue pretty relevantly into the final round. But yeah, you could tell me and Brad's game, the terrain was, no offense, it was awful. There was actually just no terrain throughout the middle, like, third of the table. Not a joke. There was literally just no terrain in the middle. Like,
we fixed that before we left.
Yeah, if you just put like a big circle in the middle of a board, there was no terrain in there, and it was not.
That's where you want it. That's where you want the
terrain. Yeah, so it was kind of awkward. So you could tell. I mean, they had a lot of people helping them, and unfortunately, I don't think they knew a lot about how to set up like MCP tables, which again is fine. It's stuff you'll learn and get better on. I think the players did a good job of correcting some of the tables.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were definitely a couple tables that were thing, but that is very relevant for the next round. So
yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the 4th round. I played against Andrew Savage, and Andrew Savage was playing an unaffiliated list.
He went into
because
he went into this tournament number 1 unaffiliated player in the world.
Yes, yeah. But he did not have a very good tournament, unfortunately, and that continued into our game. His dice luck was unbelievably bad. It was well below average, and I was rolling mega hot this game. We were playing on 20 points at Superpowered Scoundrels and Paranoia Pummels Populace. So there were 10 victory points on the board for anyone who wanted to take them. He went 5 wide with Rogue, Medusa, Logan the Wolverine, Beta Ray Bill, and Agent Venom. So I went 6 wide with MODOK, Doc Ock, and Lizard, Craven the Hunter, Bullseye, and one other person whom I am blanking on. Rhino, obviously. In this game, I got ahead early on victory points because I was wider than he was, and then I was getting victory points where I probably shouldn't have been, just because I was rolling so hot on defense. Most of my guys had 3 defenses against his attacks and would get 3 blocks, or sometimes 4 on 3 dice. And it was to the point where I would roll my dice and see 3 successes and feel bad because it was so abnormally good. And then we had a miscommunication where I had my sinister traps out on a point close to him on one of the superpowered scoundrels, and he avoided it with Agent Venom, and his plan was going to be to throw one of my guys into it. But MODOK was on the other side, and he had never played against MODOK 2 yet, and he asked me if he had the ability that MODOK 1 had, the superpower that let him control him, let him move an opposing model. And I said, no, he doesn't have that, because he doesn't. But what he was asking was whether he could move other people's models, and I didn't register that. I feel kind of bad about it, because I then attacked him with the Spender, which lets me move him, and I didn't, and I feel like it left kind of a bad taste in his mouth, which I definitely don't want to do. I felt bad about pulling that. I don't know. That's one that I wish that I had done things differently. And this game
talk about how funny it is that only one of us upset one of our opponents, and it was fucking Fred.
I know. This was a case where I should have known what he was asking, but I was also tired at this point.
Brandon, you upset one of your opponents too.
The same opponent that cheered when he got the selection he wanted. that opponent, the one who cheered multiple verbal yeses with his hands in the air, walking around away from the table. That one. Is that the one that
it may or may not have been that one. I'm not going to name names.
Oh, okay.
I was told in confidence.
All right. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't sure. I just figured if that was the one, it may have been the one.
Yeah. Well, this game went very much in my favor. At the end of the 3rd round, I was at 15 points, and I think he was at 10. And on the 4th round, I went up to 22 points, and he was at 11. So it was just like a really, really rough game for him, and the dice were just abysmal for him. But that happens sometimes, and yeah, that was my 4th round. That puts me at 2-2 for this tournament, which is pretty good for me. I feel pretty good about that. All right, Steven, why don't you talk about your 4th round?
Well, that we could save that.
Brad
for last.
Brad should probably talk about his 4th round first.
Yeah, let's talk. Those of you who are paying attention right now, that means that Brandon and Steven are both 3-0 at the moment, and so let's talk to Brad. Brad, what was your 3rd round?
So there were 3 3-0s, and I mentioned this because it was not me. I was 2-1, as you remember. However, there was not a 4th 3-0. So there was a 3-0 that had to play against a 2-1. And I got paired up into a 3-0 and had to play either Steven or the other guy that's 3-0 that I hadn't played because I'd already played Brandon. And luckily, I got the other guy, Eric. I did not have to play Steven. Eric
What?
Eric was playing X-Men, which is a faction I know very well. And he was playing a lot of the new models, which is relevant because his only leader in his list was Professor Xavier. And I've played a couple games with Professor X, and it's not gone particularly well. Like, it's been fine, but I like Cyclops and Storm better. And I think they're better. So we end up, I think he gets priority. He picks his secures, of course. I drop spider portals, and he draws paranoia. So that's 3 games of paranoia in a row, by the way. And I pick 18 so that I can play Cable, Psylocke, Hulk, and then I can't play Bishop because it's 19. So I played X23 because it was paranoia. He played Xavier, Nightcrawler, Shadowcat, Wong, and Juggernaut. And did not notice looking at his list, but noticed in the game he built around Xavier's leadership. All of those models have something that they can do, a superpower they can do during their turn to pass on power. And all of them except Wong have something they can pay for during your opponent's turn to pass on power. In particular, Nice Punch from Juggernaut, just he prevents a damage and moves his power to another character the first time, which was very good. Juggernaut, Spider Portals, it's a D. So Nightcrawler and Psylocke fought on one side. Shadowcat went and got the paranoia on the other side and then ran away, and then Hulk was over there. And in the middle, I had X23 and Cable, and he had everyone, because Nightcrawler would go to the point and then end up teleporting back out. His Juggernaut ended up on my D at one point, and then Cable finally dazed him. Cable and Hulk did a lot of work this game. He was ahead on victory points the first 2 turns. Then I was ahead by 1 on turn 3. It was like, I think it was 14-13. And I was worried that he was going to end up outscoring me. But it came down to a point where he had three of his models left, and I had 7 points on the table. And that's when and he was like trying to figure out a way out, and I was also trying to figure out if he had a way out, not to tell him, but to see how worried I could be. And I could not think of a way for him to get out of the situation he was in, and that's when I finally relaxed a little. But he went with Shadowcat and went over and tried to flip the D and failed the roll, and I literally let out my breath. And then I went with Hulk to go. He had his home D was the only one he owned. I went over there. I tried to kill Professor X so he didn't even get to activate him and only had Wong. But I didn't kill him, but I pushed him off the point, and then I threw Wong into him off the point and then flipped it to mine. And then I just had to sit back and wait because that was it. I didn't have any other models. And he walked Hulk off the point with Professor X, flipped the point, and then went and got a paranoia that was laying in the middle of the table with Wong and moved back in. And he got his 3, and I got 5, so I went up to 6. I went up to 20, and he went up to 16, and I won the game, making sure that there were not 2 undefeated players at the end of the tournament.
Yes,
because it was locked at it was locked at 4 rounds. We were not going to be playing a 5. So, and then I had to just wait to see how everything shook out to see if I got any prizes.
Okay.
Yeah. Shout out to Eric. He's one of my guys up here in the Cleveland area.
That is definitely the best I've ever seen Xavier work, by far. He did very well.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching a little bit of this game, and Xavier was like he was like a little powerhouse. Like lots of little there was power going on him all the time. Yeah. It was surprising to watch. Yeah. Okay, so that leaves our last game against the only other 3-0s in this tournament, and those are Steven and Brandon. So, who wants to talk about this game? Which one of you two?
Steven can talk about it.
Well, I was going to defer to the winner.
Oh, spoilers.
Spoilers, yes. Well, Brandon and I did play. Brandon, you want to go over the table situation at least?
Yeah. So, after we got paired in round on table 1, obviously, since we were the 2 3-0s. So when we were setting up, well, not setting up, Steven's game at the end of round 3, I think was the last game done.
Yeah, it was tight. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really tight. It went a while. Yeah. So, and my game was really long too. So, Steven, when almost minutes after Steven finished, it was paired. So I was at the table. I hadn't really moved much or too far away. And when I was there, I got there before Steven did. I was already there, and the TO came over and he said, "Hey, if you guys want to," he said, "Hey, there were some issues." I guess we had went and got a drink and stuff before. I think that was when we came back. Yeah, we went and got a drink
too, because I was right next to you guys.
Yeah, so we went and got a. That's right. Yeah, we went and grabbed a drink, came back, and the TO was. But when Steven had walked away to get like his stuff, the TO was talking to me and was like, "Hey, there were some issues with this table last round. If you guys want, we have a table." The 12th table in the event was actually probably one of the best laid out tables as far as like an MCP table is concerned. It wasn't perfect, but it was a really good table, and had asked us if we wanted to play on a different table. So, we had went and looked at the other table, and I think we were both pretty well in agreement. Like, as cool as the first table looked, it wasn't super practical to play on.
Just for those who are listening, this is the same one that he played on the last round, the one with the subway tracks.
Yeah, I had played on it the previous round. I knew how to play on it at least, but I don't think, and especially in that situation, I don't think it would have been fair to have someone like come in and have to play on that table with so many inconsistencies, and just the layout, like, because there were so many, like the level 2s were pillars, and there were like 16 of them or something, like, or 14 or 15 of them. Like, there was a crazy amount of them, and they were all in really like inconvenient spots because of the subway grates or subway like tracks being divoted. Like, there were so many places you legitimately couldn't put your model that should not have been an issue because of little things like that. So we decided to play on table 12 instead of table 1.
Yep, that is correct.
Which also was nice because we were away from everybody.
Yeah, we were. So, yeah, if you haven't garnered yet, Brandon wins this game 17-12. I think that was your closest game of the tournament, wasn't it?
Yeah, point wise, point wise, that was the closest game. Yeah, 17-12. Because I think the other one was 19-13, the last round. So, we played Superpower Scoundrels, Spider Infected. Yeah, so there were 10. There were 10. Yeah, there were 10 objectives. There were. It was relaxing to play someone I knew in the final round. I think we both got to breathe a little bit more because we did know each other rather well and were in a good spot where we could talk things out. It was actually kind of funny because
you were correcting my models.
When Steve, yeah, and Steven's revelation after he selected his initial roster. He had built to an incorrect point value.
Correct. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and we were like, I was like, wait a second. I was like, so it was thankfully it was, as far as like a final round, it was really relaxing. However,
no pressure. No pressure.
Yeah. However, it's a borderline perfect scenario for my roster. Not a bad scenario for Web Warriors, which is what Steven was playing. So it wasn't like a bad situation for him, but it was definitely like borderline perfect for mine. It was a lower point value, which is where I wanted to be. I played Kingpin, Shadowland Daredevil,
Lizard, Black Cat,
Crossbones.
Yeah, Lizard and Black Cat. Yeah.
Yeah, Lizard, Black Cat, and Crossbones.
I went with Miles, Black Panther, Iron Fist, Moon Knight, and Spider Woman. So, needless to say, my people weren't very good at forcing Brandon off the point. I mean, he looked at my list and he didn't even take brace. He's like, "Why do I need it?"
Yeah, I did look at the list, which allowed me to take a more of a variety of cards that were going to help in certain situations. Neither one of us played a ton of our tactics cards. I took All According to Plan, Indomitable, Cruelty, Shadow Organization, and Exceptional Healing.
I think we only played one card each in our whole game.
Yeah, I played Indomitable, and I think you played Brace, right?
Yeah, exactly. Those were the only cards because I had like Spider Tracker, All Webbed Up, Sacrifice, and Fallback. I didn't even play any of those. I mean,
yeah. But go ahead.
Looking at the table, I could see that I was at a disadvantage when I was going against you. So, in retrospect, I probably should have gone with Daredevil and did a defenders list. But hindsight's 20/20. So,
yeah, I was able to. I kind of forced him. The way I played, I kind of forced Steven to kind of pick his two back points just so he could get some amount of points in the first round. So I had kind of I think I took 6. I think it was 6-4 after the first round. And I was able to kind of.
It was 7-5-7. That's how you scored, I believe.
Did I? Yeah. Oh, no, yeah. Because
no, that doesn't add up right. Yeah, I think you did get 6.
I think I scored.
No, you did 6-5-6. That's right. It wasn't 7. 6-5-6. Yeah.
Yep. Because I got the 3, my 2 back points in the center point, and those respective spiders. Well,
yeah,
technically not, but he moved his Spider Woman to take my Spider Infected, and my Lizard took his Spider Infected. Yeah. But 3 Spider Infected, 3 points, and then 2, and then I basically. He didn't have. My big theory was he didn't have a ton of ranged attacks, so I tried to push and throw all the characters, just to make it just very inconvenient for him in that matchup.
And then the Spider Infected helped you too.
Yeah, the Spider Infected pushed Lizard both times, and pushed Miles once, but pushed Black Panther once and Spider Woman twice. Yeah. So it was the spiders were not as helpful. They were not helping the spiders. They were.
They were.
So it was, but it was a really good game. It was smooth. There weren't one days model, I think, in the entire, and when the game ended after the third round.
Yeah, Iron Fist. Yeah,
Iron Fist days. Yeah.
Yeah, you forgot your healing factor on Lizard. I'm like, heal Lizard, please.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it was funny because I didn't even really plan to daze Iron Fist because I had staggered him and kind of threw him away. So like I was just kind of putting him in a really inconvenient spot. The plan was to move the ninjas into a spot where you couldn't place appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
And they just
chopped him down.
Yeah, they just happened to roll a lot of success. Or he only had one health left, but they happened to roll like 3 successes because Iron Fist can count blank. So it was kind of just that weird situation. So because my plan was I can put the ninjas up there so he can either move with Iron Fist because if he attacks them with the place attack, the place is after damage is dealt, I believe. So the ninjas would have died probably. They probably don't survive that, so then there's no real place. So that was the plan. But for some reason they decided to throw a lot of daggers into his back while he wasn't paying attention.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it was a good game. It was nice. It was relaxed. So I end up 3-1. Brandon's 4-0 and the champion of the first annual Brew Brawl.
Yes, and he got a big Mjolnir trophy for becoming the winner. Which, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see in the picture that's up on the screen right now. Yeah. Oh, that's the other picture you had. That's the other picture. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, Steven and I tied on strength of schedule, and I scored 6 more victory points than him. So I got second. Steven got third. Borka went 2-2, got 14th. Fred went 2-2, got 15th. And that's how we did.
And then, oh yeah, let's go over that. Brandon, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, my opponents came in second place, third place, fourth place.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah, Brandon ran a gauntlet of difficult games, it appears, and came out on top.
Yep,
it was definitely
and is now retiring criminal syndicate. He has said it multiple times. I'm saying it on the air so that he has to do it.
I did come into this event saying this would be the last event I played Criminal Syndicate at, so at least for a while. So
who's gonna be your new faction?
I don't know.
It's Defenders. What are you talking about?
I don't know. It's there's a lot of contenders out here in the world.
He likes those ninjas too much.
Dude, the ninjas are good. Grunts are just so good. God, grunts are so good. I do have a theory here I'd like to throw out to the people about Sandman. I believe his 2 terrain pieces, he's going to be able to attack from.
That would make sense. They're confirmed grunts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, maybe they can move like grunts, but they have no attack. I don't know. And then attack. They are confirmed to be grunts, and that they get around the rules for only one grunt out at a time. They can both be out at the same time. Yeah, that has been confirmed.
I believe the one is going to be an attack grunt. I believe the other one that is holding all the debris and other things is going to be the extract grunt. Where it picks up things,
Yeah. Interesting.
I feel like if they're not careful with this model, he's going to be absolutely broken.
You are correct.
And I don't have much faith in them, so...
Let's move on. Let's get out of speculation corner and let's talk about the guy that we're here to talk about today. Because I think we've been talking enough about the games that we've played. Also, I don't want to move away from it too quickly. Congratulations, Brandon. You played great. Congratulations. Today we are here. Oh my goodness. I've been trying to buy time as I'm pulling up Kingpin because I was bad.
So
my internet here is really spotty.
Well, Fred, there's a problem with the hosts today, and
oh, is that why I can't pull them up?
Yeah, because I can't pull them up right now either.
Well, I have his card right in front of me.
I mean, I can kind of read it off of memory.
Yeah, we have the world expert on Kingpin here.
Our person
here today that we're covering is Kingpin, otherwise known as Wilson Fisk. Let me see. Are his defenses 4, 3, and 3 on both sides?
That's correct.
And he is
got it loaded.
7 health. Okay. He has 7 health on his front side and 6 on his back side, or is he 7 and 7?
He's 7 and 7.
7 and 7. And he is 4 threat, size 3.
Correct.
Yeah.
And he has a movement speed of short, but that's okay because he's on a medium-sized base.
Fred.
Okay.
Fred, try closing out of your app or browser completely and going back in. That worked for me.
Okay. Will do. Brandon, why don't you do his attack suite?
Yeah, his first attack is a physical attack called Headbutt. It's range 2. It's 5 dice. It has the builder rules. After attack resolve, character gains power equal to damage dealt. For a wild trigger, it has stun. After the attack resolve, target character gets stun. And a wild trigger for push. If the target character is size 3 or less, it can be pushed away short. He has a second attack. It's energy. It's called Cane Laser. It's a beam 3, 4 dice. It ignores line of sight, and they do not benefit from cover. His spender is a physical attack called Hail to the King. It is range 2, 7 dice. It costs 3 power. And before the damage is dealt, the target character is size 3 or less. The character may throw the target character short, and then after the attack is resolved, the target character gains the stagger special condition.
Okay. Steven, why don't you just do his affiliation bonus?
Okay. He is the criminal syndicate leader, illicit network. And once per turn, anytime during an allied character's activation, it may spend 2 power to use this leadership ability. Move 1 asset or civilian token being held by the active character to another allied character within range 3. Character cannot hold more tokens than allowed by the crisis due to this leadership ability. Additionally, each healthy, non-grunt allied character contesting an objective token counts as 2 healthy characters when determining who is securing the objective token.
Okay, and Brad, why don't you finish off the card?
Active superpower street level negotiations cost 2. Choose an interactive terrain feature enemy character, both size 3 or less, within range 2. They're at medium. Can only be used once per turn. Reactive intense physical conditioning. It costs 1. If he would suffer damage, reduce that damage by 1. No minimum. And a innate solid frame. He does not suffer damage from collisions with other characters.
Okay, so that's Kingpin's card. All right, so we have a person who probably knows Kingpin better than almost anyone on the planet on the podcast.
He should talk last.
Okay. Is that how you want to do it?
Yes.
I'm going to leave it up to Brandon. Okay. All right.
Because he's going to say all the obvious stuff, and then we'll be left with nothing. But if we say the obvious stuff, then he has to fish and come up with his deep dive knowledge.
Okay, that's a good plan. Brad, why don't you talk first?
There's nothing bad on this card. It's all amazing. He's got the best leadership in the game, and I don't think it's close.
I think easily the best leadership in the game.
If it was just the second paragraph, it would still be the best leadership in the game.
Yeah, yeah, it would be. And let's not talk about how, like, he's got probably the best leadership in the game, and he rules as a 4-point model.
Yeah,
like he
you
reduces damage to 0. He can reduce to 0. He has a character throw of size 3 that throws medium, which is pretty far. He has an automatic stagger on his spender
that throws.
That throws
for 3. I mean, it's 7 dice.
Yeah,
that's almost as good as Hulk's spender.
And plus, he's got a 14 hit points, which is on the well above average for 4s.
You can't throw stuff. You can't throw characters at him. He has a beam attack that is good, that nobody even uses because everything else is so good.
I have seen Brandon use it once. Brandon uses it.
No one else does.
I've probably cane lasered more people than I care to admit.
This character is an absolute 10 out of 10. He's unbelievably good.
I cannot believe that he got buffed. He was good before, and they made him better.
Yeah, he got changed and improved. There was an extra. They did errata him later
to take out the grunts.
To add the words. Yeah, grunts.
Yeah.
To make it so grunts do not count as 2.
And that was needed for Research Station, but it doesn't affect his playability. He's so good.
Well, he did get one nerf. His Hail to the King could throw any size before the update.
That's true.
Size 3. Size 3 is most of the characters in the game.
I know, but still, you could throw a Sentinel with him before.
Yeah, that's too much. He's not that strong.
Steven, what are you thinking here?
I think the only thing holding this character back is that his Headbutt and Hail to the King are range 2, and he's a short mover. So,
but if they weren't range 2,
he'd be. Yeah, I know. This is the thing that keeps him in check, right? So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to be sitting on a point, scoring points, and forcing his opponent to come to him,
even if he's not the leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not going to be easy to move off that point. That's for sure.
No, absolutely not. Brandon, talk to us about this guy. You are the expert here. You just won a tournament using his leadership, mostly. What are your thoughts?
Leadership 3 of the 4 games.
Yeah.
So, so Cane Laser should read, you make this attack if you picked up a hammer with Kingpin for some reason. Because then it becomes a beam 3/5 dice that ignores line of sight and cover, and it just becomes a really good attack. Most of the time you're using... I've used Cane Laser because I wanted to damage somebody, but not push them away, or didn't want to push them away because I wanted to throw them, and sometimes the energy, and it's an energy attack, so sometimes you just get a venom or an agent venom, and you can just kind of take that advantage into it. The headbutt stunning is really, really good. Hail to the King is one of the best spenders in the entire game. However, Illicit Network is the best affiliation bonus in the entire game. It makes secure objectives incredibly annoying to play against, and then it makes, if you play it correctly, the part that everyone forgets is the first paragraph on the card under the affiliation is the being able to pass objectives, because it's not specific to asset or just asset or just civilian. You can do any objective token in the game. and you can just pass it. And it's within 3. 2 power to throw something range 3 is really, really good, and it gives you a lot of extract play that a lot of affiliations don't have, or really, and people don't plan for it. Everyone just gets so concerned. The amount of games I've played where I can stand on the objectives and put myself in situations with like 2 objectives, especially on like superpowered scoundrels, like on the backs in the middle. If I place correctly on both of them, I can then toss the objective from objective to objective if needed. With the range 3 pass, it makes Deadly Legacy Virus also like
auto include.
Yeah, it's just honestly it feels so bad when I get my secure and then they get their extracts and it just turns up Deadly Legacy. Especially if they don't have like a really good plan on it. If they're mostly playing it for like 19 threat and like a low scoring game, because I can very reliably get all 3 of these by the end of turn 3. I can probably get all 3 of them on turn 2. It's just kind of hard to get all the characters in the same area. Sometimes, not all the time. Especially if you're playing 19 with Rhino and Black Hat, it's real easy to get all of the objectives and get them all onto one character. Usually when I'm playing on Deadly Legacy with this leadership, the biggest time I take to think is, what character do I want to die if I'm not going to win the game at the end of the round that I get the 6 points. But Solid Frame is also super relevant. That comes up all the time. I've never had too many issues with his attacks and movement. If you removed 2 of his attacks, and the bottom half of the card's what matters. Like, this character's not designed to be attacking. Like, you Hail the King to stagger. Basically, the card says pay 3 power to stagger somebody, and then you have a 2 power throw and 1 power to make sure you take 1 less damage. And that's... he's just really good at playing the game that he's supposed to be playing. And honestly, the biggest holdup on him is that Criminal Syndicate overall does not have great models. It's got really good models, and it's got Black Hat, which is a great model. And then Rhino's off, which is a great model. Yeah. And Rhino, yeah. But Rhino, and Rhino plays really good under him. For anyone trying to play Rhino as an attrition piece, stop doing that.
Agree.
He's such a good scenario piece, and he plays really well. I mean, but like the 3s are outside of Black Cat aren't great. There's a lot of really good 4s, but there's a lot more. Most of them play very attrition-y. So I think that's a lot of what's happening why we haven't got a lot of Criminal Syndicate models. Is like there's a good chance that if like certain models, like me and Brad have talked about it a lot, like Juggernaut should have been affiliated with Criminal Syndicate, but I believe, especially with All According to Plan and like Shadow Organization, and even Cruelty, Juggernaut would have been absolutely busted under Criminal Syndicate. He's already a really good model. If I could play him affiliated and be able to spend all of the power that he has all the time, it would have been too good. So I think we've gotten some restrictions just because of how good his leadership is. It's a disservice to the game how little this character is, especially like around our areas. Like, there's not a lot of this affiliation that gets played. Like when I played Brian, like the Pittsburgh meta, like nobody plays Criminal Syndicate up there. If they do, they play MODOK, Claw, like the other leaders that the affiliation has, and not Kingpin.
Oh, Brandon, you're forgetting they have one of the best 2-pointers in the game.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, Bullseye's great. All the 2-pointers are good though. As long as you have it affiliated too, but Bullseye definitely helps play. Bullseye pays for All According to Plan usually most of the time.
Yeah, he usually spends 6 out of the 10 that are needed.
Yeah, when Bullseye gets dazed, it's like, all right, I guess we have All According to Plan on. Like, even if they're like trying to restrict power, like when Bullseye gets dazed, I'm like, oh, cool. I don't have to really consider, I don't have to keep all the power. I can do my thing still. I don't have to conserve power because if Bullseye's going into the next turn with like 6 or 7 power, I don't have to have like any other power in reserve to take the. I don't have to worry about taking Kingpin's like power off of him. If I can go into an all according to plan turn with Kingpin having 3 or 4 power, it's just incredible. Or Shadowland Daredevil having a bunch of power. So the one thing about this model, if there's a negative, he's not super splashable. He's not a model that fits with a bunch of other affiliations, because his affiliation is like literally designed and perfect for him, and there's no reason you should be splashing this character. Like if you splash this character, like, as me and Fred have talked about it before, where he plays, because he is a spider foe as well, and it's like if you splash him in like spider foes, and I think he's Cabal too, right?
Yeah, Cabal.
Yeah, so if you splash him in spider foes, all you're really gonna do to yourself is realize you should just be playing Kingpin's leadership, and then you're not playing spider foes anymore.
Right. That's why he's not in my list, because if he were in my list, I would always be playing his leadership. And I don't want to do that.
Because it's like if you have a roster and you're playing on a non-pay to flip, it's objectively the correct decision to play his leadership and play his model. So,
yeah,
but I could go on forever, so I'll bow out at this point.
Okay. Well, I feel like we've covered the strong points about him. We can't move on without talking about All According to Plan and Shadow Organization. Yeah. So someone pull those up, and let's start with All According to Plan. Who wants to read it, because I can't pull it up right now.
All According to Plan is any number of Criminal Syndicate characters can pay for this card, and has to be a Criminal Syndicate affiliated character, and then you can pay 10 power to gain gain control of the activation token.
Yeah, as in
gain priority token. Yeah, priority token, not activation token. Sorry.
That's all right. Yeah, so if you're going into the next round and you know that being able to go first will really help you, you can go first, and you would be amazed at how often it comes up that swings a game in your favor, like big time. Especially under Kingpin, who likes to go very wide, so he rarely has priority. All right.
Yeah, it makes my life really happy when I like have priority and the opponent plays the same amount of models as me, so I can just always have priority. Like,
yeah.
It feels really nice to do that.
Okay, so Shadow Organization. This card is also incredibly powerful and Criminal Syndicate specific.
Criminal Syndicate character specific too. It reads any number of Criminal Syndicate characters may pay 2 power to play this card, and then for each character that paid 2 power, opponents must be within range 2 to target them with attacks this round.
They all have super stealth. It's pretty sneaky, sis.
It's pretty sneaky, sis.
And both of those cards are really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should, if you're playing X-Force, you should be playing Pretty Sneaky Sis, and if you're playing Criminal Syndicate, you should be playing Shadow Organization. However, I will disclaimer, like, Shadow Organization is great. It is not a card you should take every single game.
Right. It may just not come up. Like, it's a weird case where you're I agree with you.
Pretty Sneaky Sis is pretty close to take every game.
Yeah.
And I think that's because they play different games.
Yeah,
like
they do.
X-Force and Criminal Syndicate.
Yeah, I don't have the ranged attacks that like X-Force has, but like you don't take Shadow Organization on like Mayor Fisk. You don't take it on like Research Station. Like there's a bunch where it's like grouped up. Like you're not gonna you shouldn't take this card, but you should take it. You don't. always need it on like Superpower Scoundrels. It's one of those where if you aren't taking models with affiliated cards, it's definitely takeable. But the granted cover makes it feel a lot better not to have. However, this card is absolutely bonkers. You play Infinity Formula and you play Shadow Organization. And if you do that on turn 2, because all of your characters are probably on a formula, you have that, and your opponent probably cannot make 2 attacks with any one character. And if you have priority, you move your characters away from the back Bs that are on your opponent's side to force them, and then you use your last couple activations to move characters back onto those points to steal them back.
All right.
It is a very annoying chess game.
This is why you are so good at this, is that you know, like you can tell that you've got the reps in using this leadership because you know all these tiny little maneuvers that you can do.
Oh, yeah. I've probably played over 70 games with Criminal Syndicate. If not more. I know at one point, I think the last time I updated Cerebro MCP with my like win loss, I was like 52 and like 15 or something like that. With the active list that I've had constructed and been tweaking for a couple years now. But yeah, Shadow Organization's really good. Like, yeah, and Steven, like I know, like Gilberto, like that was the thing that drove Gilberto crazy was the turn 2 Shadow Organization, and then like I moved characters off the point, like the back points away from his characters, and you could tell it just ruined his entire game plan because he was like, I needed to make multiple attacks this turn, and I can't make like any attacks without moving off of all of the points. So it became really inconvenient. It's such a good card. Just play it correctly and don't play it. You don't have to play this. This card isn't a super auto take, but it is so good in the situations it's so good in.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like we've talked about Wilson Fisk enough. Let's give him a letter grade.
I firmly disagree, but okay.
You're not playing him anymore. Okay. Let's move on. Like you should.
Yeah. I'll go first here. When else are you gonna give someone an S if they don't have the best? Like, he has the best leadership in the game. I think undisputably. He also rules. This is an S model. Let's call it what it is. I am giving him an S. That's me. Brad, what are you gonna give him?
Man, I thought you were going to be a little more conservative, and then I could give him an S and feel like the bad boy of the podcast. But yeah, he's an S. Like, he's not the type of model I typically give an S because it's like an all-rounder that you play in a lot of different places. But like, he's just so good at his one specific role. He's an S. Like,
there's a reason there's a reason on Longshanks this affiliation and leadership have always been very near the top and has one of the best win percentages in the game.
Yeah.
Steven, what are you gonna give him?
A+. Just to be different.
There it is. A+. Okay.
A+.
And Brandon.
I'm gonna go with a B+.
No.
Okay, interesting take. No, this is an S tier model. He's an S tier model. Again, he's got the best leadership in the game. There's not a leader. I would die on a hill if someone tried to like argue that there's a leadership better than this one. But I also don't believe there's a leadership attached to a character that the character is better for.
Yeah.
Like, if Kingpin didn't have this leadership, he would be the best model you played with this leadership.
Yeah.
Like, and Claw, and that includes Claw, who has a leadership literally just built around him. Like, this model is from top to bottom, there's nothing bad about it. He's perfect for his leadership, and he has a leadership that is just, yeah, I can't even think of a leadership that I would put in a conversation as like the second best leadership. I would even be like, oh well, maybe it's better. Like I can't even think because it just does so much and it never becomes irrelevant. It is always relevant. There's not really a way to turn off both sides of this leadership. Like at the beginning of the game, both sides of this affiliation are completely relevant the entirety of like the rest of the game.
Here's the thing about this leadership. It is undisputably the best one, and there will never be another one like it because like they're not gonna make them this good anymore. They just aren't, because it would ruin the game if they make more leaderships like this one.
Well, I would like to defend my A+, and the reason I put him at an A+ is because, going back to our conversation earlier, he's not splashable. You don't see him splashed or even taken in the other affiliations he's associated with it. So that's why I was at an A+. Because an S tier to me is Beta Ray Bill, right? So
I expected everyone to give him an A or an A+. I expected myself to be the one who gave him an S. But I understand the non-splashable argument. I think it's very valid. It's leaders are like the only exception I ever have to that like rule. Because most leaders aren't splashable, and I think most of them are designed not to be splashable. Like the most splashable leader is probably Miles, who is also
who we gave S's to.
Yeah, who's also an S tier model. I think we all gave Magneto really high ratings as well, and it was similar. But I think Magneto's great. I think Kingpin's strictly just better than Magneto.
Well, I was just letting you guys know why I did that, because if he were splashable in other places, yes, he'd be an S tier for me, but he's the tippy top of the A's. So
okay, all right, let's move on. Brad, do you have any comic book recommendations that involve Wilson Fisk?
Yeah, of course. He's been in a couple comics. The first one I have is Amazing Spider-Man number 50 by Stan Lee and John Romita. This is Kingpin's first appearance. This is also a famous comic book for another reason, because it's it keeps getting adapted because it's the one where Peter Parker decides being Spider-Man's too tough, and he quits and he throws away his suit, and J. Jonah Jameson publishes an article telling everyone that Spider-Man's not there anymore, and this new up-and-comer calling himself the Kingpin of crime starts pulling people together to do crimes because Spider-Man can't stop them.
Okay,
that's it.
That's his initiation. Is the moment that Spider-Man goes away, he fills the crime space.
Yes, with crime. And then my second recommendation is a portion of Frank Miller's run, very famous run on Daredevil. So it was written by Frank Miller and Klaus Janson. Specifically issues 170 through 191. 170 is is Kingpin's first appearance in a Daredevil comic, and also where he gets the name Wilson Fisk. Daredevil has historically been one of the best written comics at Marvel. They just top-notch writer after top-notch writer have taken on Daredevil, but this is almost everybody's favorite run of comics. And the bulk of it includes Kingpin, and that's this bulk right here. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. Everything that people know and love about Kingpin started here. Like, this was the building block. This is what they based a lot of the Netflix series on, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It is This is the Kingpin that you expect.
This is where he comes into his character.
Yeah. So that's what I got for us.
Okie dokie. Brandon, this is the toughest one that I think I've ever given to you. Where would you put him? Do you even want to do this segment?
If you remembered, I don't when I do leaders, I tell you models to play with leaders. I don't splash.
Okay. Tell us what you play.
The list I played in the tournament, I'll just go over. I can go a quick synopsis of the list I played, just the models. I guess I can just read it really quick. It's right in front of me. So the list. So I play Kingpin and Shadowland Daredevil as the two affiliations. If you play Kingpin roster, you need some sort of hybrid audible into to have another option because pay to flips. As well as you can get if you want to play Research Station, if you get a pay to flip and then get Research Station, you kind of want probably a different option. I use Shadowland Daredevil. Emma Frost also very good in this spot. I use so my other 4-point models are Crimson Dynamo and Rhino. Rhino is more of a utility piece. Crimson Dynamo is very specific. I usually play him if it's like a 2-lane game. So if I have Infinity Formula and most of the extracts can be forced onto side to side, Crimson Dynamo loves being on Infinity Formula and just has unlimited amounts of power. My 3-threat characters I play are Lizard, Black Cat, and Miles Morales. And Crossbones the Merciless Merc. So I play 4 3s in the list. They all are very relevant. Miles is really only for 16 threat games, where lots of objectives in 16, lots of extracts in 16 threat, and he gets to play on that scenario really well. Usually him, Black Cat, Bullseye, and then Shadowland Daredevil and Kingpin. And just play all of the objectives and force everything away from your opponent. The only other model in the list that I haven't went over is I play a Hulk. So if I do have to audible into an attrition style list, I have Shadowland Daredevil and Hulk to play. There's no really explanation on Hulk. It's Hulk. My tactics cards are All According to Plan, Cruelty, Shadow Organization are my Criminal Syndicate cards. I play Brace and Indomitable for restricted cards. Character specific cards are This is a Robbery for Rhino. Monkey Brain is Lizard Home for Lizard, and Exceptional Healing also for Lizard. And then I play Mission Objective and No Matter the Cost. No Matter the Cost is probably not like if I use that, it's usually to get a very early stagger by taking like 1 damage on Kingpin or even 1 damage on Black Cat to get a stagger off on like turn 1. Can be kind of backbreaking for certain situations. My secures were Mayor Fisk, Superpower Scoundrels, and Infinity Formula. And the extracts I played are Paranoia, Mutant Extremist, and Deadly Legacy Virus. That's the list that I play. I have played so many models in this list over the time.
You've tested so many different things, see how they work.
Yeah, okay. I have settled in really hard here. I always try to. Borka gets really upset because I regularly try to fit Juggernaut back into this list, and
I don't know where you put him in. I don't know who you take out.
It's the spot of Hulk or Dynamo.
I don't think you take out Dynamo or Hulk.
Yeah, that's the spot, and it's not really where you want to be. It doesn't feel good. He does come with a really good tactics card, which is also just really good because I do have a couple tactics cards that I don't ever really play. Like No Matter the Cost, very, 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 very rarely ever sees play. Monkey Brain as Lizard Home also doesn't see a lot of play.
I was gonna say
Exceptional Healing also doesn't see a ton of play. Like basically it's Mission Objective, Brace, Indomitable. This is a robbery, Shadow, or Cruelty, and all according to plan. The other 3 don't see a ton of play. I rarely take them. But yeah, I always try to play Juggernaut, and Juggernaut is really good. Hulk is too prevalent in the meta, and Hulk is so good against Juggernaut.
Yep. Okay, all right. Let's wrap this up. We've been talking for I think almost 2 hours. I am for my non sequitur recommendation. The person who plays Kingpin in the modern MCU is Vincent D'Onofrio. My first thought, and it's not the one I'm going with, is to bring Full Metal Jacket, but that's kind of a downer of a movie. I mean, it's an incredible downer. What am I talking about? It's a Vietnam movie made by Kubrick. It's going to be the most downer movie that's ever been made. So instead of watching that movie, watch Men in Black. The original Men in Black. That movie holds up. I watched it a couple years ago, and it is still a ton of fun. It's funny. You get to see Will Smith being the most charismatic actor in American cinema, probably. And
he's so great in that movie.
He's outstanding. This is why Will Smith is Will Smith. It is a great movie. I think that everyone should watch it. Go watch Men in Black. And that is our episode today. Thank you all for sticking with us. This was a long one, but we had a lot to cover. And congratulations to Brandon for winning the inaugural Missing Falls Brewery Brew Cup. And until next week, everyone, have fun out there.
Can't believe you didn't congratulate me and Steven.